Welcome back to the third edition of the Lions Roar. This week we're jumping right into things, looking at some video highlights of the OMFL Varsity game. Now this first half was pretty uneventful. It ended 8-0 in favor of the Lions. However, we do have a quick rule explanation that we have to go over before taking a look at the exciting action-packed second half. In the second quarter, Cambridge punted the ball into the end zone. The returner was unable to exit the end zone before being brought down. Now, usually a 1-point rouge is awarded for kicking a punt through the back of the end zone. However, some people were wondering, should this be a safety or not? A safety is awarded if a player is outside of the end zone and runs back into the end zone with the ball and is brought down. However, in Canadian rules football, as the OMFL Varsity League is the only league which uses strictly Canadian rules within all forms of the CMFA. Now, if a player is unable to exit the end zone with the ball on a return, then a 1-point rouge would be awarded in that situation. Now that we've got the rule explanation out of the way, we're jumping ahead to the second half. Look at this bomb of a pass, comes right down the middle to Monahan. Monahan able to get in there behind that defense using his quick speed. He's going to run that into the end zone, out of the reach of the defender. Monahan's touchdown makes that 14-0 Cambridge Lions. Here's the last play of the third quarter. Ball comes to who else but George Monahan. Monahan, watch him dance through all these defenders here. And off screen to the left, there's another about 5 or 6 dekes that we missed because even the camera person is so excited they couldn't pick it up. This play earned Monahan the nickname George Video Game Monahan for the rest of the night because that guy can just juke on command. Watching this kid play football is like playing Madden. Now this is Canadian rules football, so there are quite a few more punts that happen. Let's take a look at this. Monahan's back there to receive it, and now we see quite a sight on this play. Let's listen to the fans' reaction. George Video Game Monahan. Guy's a walking highlight reel. Are you not hurdly enough for the Hurdle Club? Clearly clears the TNT Express player. Now, unfortunately, it was called back because there was a flag on the play. Repeat, third down now. Now, for some crazy reason, this punter decides to kick the ball back to Georgie so he can do his thing again. Though this time he's brought down pretty quickly by the TNT Express. George Monahan says, "Are you kidding me?" And we were able to catch up with George Monahan after the game to ask him how he thought things went.
George, big game here. You literally hurdled the guy. I heard people in the stands calling you George Video Game Monahan because you can just juke on command. I can hardly step over the cat at home without tripping. How do you do it?
I gotta give credit to my team. Like the blocks, they were there all game on that punt return. There was only one guy I had to beat. There was only one thing I could do. It was a great game, a great second half. It was fun.
And you had 2 big touchdowns. How'd that feel tonight?
It was great to open the scoring up, get in the second half with some rhythm.
Braden, you obviously play all areas of the ball. You're all over the field tonight. Even when the kicker was out, you ended up kicking. So tell us a little bit about your game tonight.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest. For the first half, I wasn't really on my game. I give credit to my team for pulling me up and ended up picking it up in the second quarter to find George and our new receiver Brad for a couple touchdowns. And yeah.
Excellent. So do you feel that the chemistry was just a little off in the first half? As the weeks have kind of come along, it's starting to pick up a little better. You found George a couple times there in the third quarter there for a couple big touchdowns. So do you feel like the team's starting to click as the season progresses a little more?
Oh yeah, especially after that first half with our run game with Worley and Thomas pounding it. That definitely opened up the pass and that made our team click, especially after this win against the defending champs.
Brendan, you're the first D lineman on the show so far. You're in there on plenty of hits tonight. How did the game go as far as you think?
It was really great in the second half of the game. We really rallied and started making stops after stops after stops. It was nice that they ran inside, so I got a few more tackles, and then our outside guys also made a lot of tackles. So full team effort.
Coach Phil, big win tonight. Apart from some discipline issues, how do you feel about how this game went?
I think second half we really turned it up and played to our potential. We did have obviously some inopportune penalties that kind of killed drives and a couple turnovers and drop balls, but we cleaned up our act of it in the second half and our offense went to work. And I'm pretty pleased with our performance.
Now, do you think discipline is going to be something that's talked about in practice coming up this week?
It definitely will be. It was an issue in our first game, but last game against Vaughan, which was a game that got a little out of hand. We really kept our composure. We only had about 45 yards in penalties for the game. So we obviously didn't do as well today, so it's definitely something we're going to address going forward.
If we could quickly just go back to the game in Vaughan. Now, we did hear that things were starting to get a little chippy, and without kind of revealing too much, what kind of happened in that game?
Well, it was a game against a new team, so they were inexperienced, and I think we were up on them, and it was obvious that we were a better football team, and they kind of, I guess, weren't taking it as well as maybe they could have. So there was some trash talking and guys, trying to bait players into fights, and it was football, and it was an intense game, and I guess that's kind of all there is to say about it.
Excellent.
Without revealing too much.
Well, you did a good job of certainly not revealing too much. And once again, Phil, thank you for your time.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for having me.
In Week 3 OMFL action, the Varsity Lions were the only team to come away with a win, edging the TNT Express by a final score of 34-7. Unfortunately, the Metro Toronto Wildcats came into town and handed the Pee-wees a 14-6 loss. Our junior varsities came up short against the Orangeville Outlaws, being outscored 39-7. And of course, our Bantams were not in action this week as they had a bye. Looking ahead now to Week 4 OMFL action, on Sunday at 2 p.m., visiting the Steel City Steelers. Our Pee-wees will play that game at 2 p.m. Coming into Cambridge are the Toronto Jets. That will take place on Sunday at 1 p.m. Our junior varsities have a bye this week, and our varsity team will be playing host to the Niagara Spears on Saturday at 12 noon. Let's take a look back at this past weekend's OVFL action in Week 2, in which all of our OVFL teams did take the trip down to Chincoosea Field in Brampton. Now, Brampton is always a tough team, never to be underestimated, as they're always consistently good. Now, unfortunately, our Bantams fell short at halftime. This game was tied 7-7. Unfortunately, as you can see, things got away from the Lions in the second half, and Brampton came out with a 43-7 victory. In junior varsity, the junior varsity team in the game of the week edged the Brampton Bulldogs by a score of 34-21. And our varsity team also walked away with a win, handing the Bulldogs a 20-7 loss. We were able to catch up with some of the varsity players and ask them what's in store for this varsity team this year.
James, you've been the starting quarterback for this team for 3 years now, coming into your third year. 2 years ago, this is a team that posted a 3-5 record. Last year, you improved, doubling the wins to a 6-2 record. This year, you're off to a good start, 2-0. In order for this year to be considered an improvement on last year, what do you think has to happen?
I think harder play at the end of the season. So we got to finish our games that are tougher. And our schedule gets tougher as the season goes on. So as long as we can finish those games out and do something in the playoffs, that will make us, I think, a step forward.
Excellent. And so last week you played a game against Brampton. They're always a tough team, never to be underestimated. You're coming up against Halton this weekend. How are you preparing for that game?
Just like as everyone else, you can't really just kind of look over teams more or less. You got to take it week by week. I think it's kind of a year that a lot of the teams are in the mix, and any given day, something can happen. So
Devin, this year you're making the jump from JV to OV. How do you think it's going so far?
Pretty good. The size of the players is a lot different, and the speed is a bit different, but otherwise, like the physicality and everything that comes with it.
So you're a big part of this defense. You come in right away as a starter. How did you think the game went last weekend against Brampton?
Last week, I think we came out of the gate really good. Firing full cylinders right away, and we never let off the gas. And I think if we keep that up, I think we're going to have a good defense this year.
So you've got Halton coming up this weekend. They're a team that a lot of people tend to overestimate. How are you preparing for this game in order to make sure that you don't do that?
Like every other game, just take it to them full steam ahead. Never let off the gas. And hit them hard and hit them off.
Magic, so you're off to a 2-0 start this season. Last year you posted a great record, 6-2. One of the first bursts in the playoffs for the varsity team in several years. What do you think has to happen this year to say that it's been an improvement from last year?
I think it's just consistency. I think last year we were good. at times. We were great at times. We capped it off with the win in Essex. But I don't think down the stretch we played good enough quarter after quarter to go as far in the playoffs as we would have liked.
And so how do you plan on changing things this year?
I think with most of that team coming back, we've learned a lot of lessons with our losses from last year, and I think the veteran leadership should provide us the opportunity to correct those mistakes from last year.
Excellent. And you just had a big win against Brampton this past weekend. They're always a tough team, never to be underestimated. Coming up this weekend, you're playing against Halton. That tends to be a team that a lot of people can easily overlook. How do you prevent yourself from doing so?
It's the only game we play. Regardless of who else is on our schedule, this Saturday is Halton. They've shown with the teams they played against, Mississauga and London, that they're no joke this year. They're within a score of each game so far. Taking their opponent, they're the only thing that stops us from being 3-0.
As you may have heard in some of those interviews there, Halton will be coming to town this week, not only to play our varsity team, but in fact to play all of our OVFL teams. Friday night, the Bantams will play host to the Halton Cowboys at 8 p.m. Saturday, the junior varsity Halton Cowboys will be coming in to play at 3 p.m., and our varsity team will be hosting the late game Saturday night. Thank you for tuning into this third edition of the Lions Roar. Certainly hope you enjoyed this episode. Once again, I've included my email at the end of this video in order for you to send any suggestions or clips my way. If you do have any suggestions, feel free to send those our way at any point in time. We'd love to have them. And this weekend, we certainly hope to see you out at Jacob Hessler Field. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.